What's up, guys? Today is another story time day. I spoke about this in my video about creating empathy for myself, but I briefly mentioned it. I was like, we can get into my experience with a psychiatrist, and today is the day. I definitely want to share this because what I went through was kind of crazy, okay? Um, why did I pause like that? I'm just trying to collect my thoughts. So, first of all, hi if you're new here. Please subscribe. I am almost to 300 subscribers. I need 700 more after that to be like an official YouTuber. So, follow me on this journey. I am sick. I'm still sick, getting over a head cold. But anyways, okay. So, a few months back in 2023, I knew I needed help. I knew I needed help. I was kind of really at a low point. Um, I was realizing that everything I was doing wasn't for me. Going to school, I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it because my family wants me to. The type of content I was creating, I was not happy with. I just felt miserable pushing that type of content out. Excuse my cups, by the way. I have my water, my gym water, and my Starbucks. But anyways, I was just like really unhappy at the time. My relationship was rocky because we're long distance. Let's be real. That is always going to be a rocky situation. And I just felt really low. I felt like I wasn't being myself anymore. I had just dropped the modeling stuff that I was doing because what they were doing to my images was pretty out of line for the type of messaging that I wanted to get across, and the type of marketing that they do. I was like, this isn't honest work and I don't like it. So I left a lot of things. Like I realized there were no, I didn't leave a lot of things. I just realized there were a lot of things going on in my life and I didn't know how to handle them. I was having emotional outbreaks. So one day I go to the doctor. On top of all of this, I had really bad stomach issues, like super bad. And when my stomach gets upset, I get anxious because I'm like, can I go outside? Can I do normal people things without having to run to the bathroom? And it like just triggered this whole world of looping in my negative thoughts, my anxieties, my depression, and I just was caught in this loop because if my stomach's upset, I'm anxious. If I'm anxious, my stomach's upset. And then I have all these other things going on that are just like throwing into the mix. Um so anyways, I went to go see my primary care about my stomach and they were like I already felt weird about going to her because she's older and I could tell that she wasn't really open to the idea of me as a person. Like, I could see that there was some reserved judgment because I have a lot of piercings, they have tattoos. She's a very old fashioned doctor, and I don't want to say that that was a bad experience, but it kind of was. Like, ultimately, she helped me, but I could tell her viewpoints on certain things that she would mention really affected me. And that goes into a whole other psychological thing. Like, judgment from elder women really affects me, and that has to do with my childhood. But, anyways, that's not what we're talking about. So I go to see her, and I told her my stomach is upset, and I had already seen her about my anxiety before, and she had prescribed me some medication that did not work for me and made me feel extremely sick. So I went in and I told her, hey, I saw you like 2 years ago, and my anxiety is still crazy. Now my stomach problems are persisting. Um, so she had said something, and I was like, you're gonna make me cry. Like, I'm actually gonna cry. Um, Mind you, at the time I was also on my time of the month. Anyways, I end up breaking down. I'm crying in front of this woman, this freaking doctor, and she's like, "Do you think that maybe seeing someone to talk about your problems would help?" And I was like, "Yeah, honestly, yes. I need help. Like, I really needed help. It wasn't just about my stomach. It was about the stress and the amount of things that I could handle at once, and I was losing it. I was also at the time in the middle of moving from my apartment to here. I had so much debt, but I didn't have a plan. So I was rock bottom mental health wise. I also was the heaviest I have ever weighed. So there were just a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. Anyways, so she's like, okay, I'm gonna hook you up to see not only a gastroenterologist, which I saw, stomach problems are figured out now, kind of. Not really, but anyways, my stomach is doing good. But she was like, I'm also gonna pair you up with a psychiatrist. And I was like, okay. Now, me going into this, I didn't realize that psychiatrists are completely different than therapists. I understood that they had medical ability to prescribe medication, but I had no idea that the way they go about things is completely different. So I just knew I needed help. I needed to talk to somebody about everything that was going on, and I wanted the help. So she was like, here's your referral, call them, give them a call, and set up an appointment. And I was like, okay, great. So I called, and the woman that picked up, mind you, this was in September, November of last year, 2022. The woman that picked up was like, okay, let me know your insurance, blah, blah, blah. Here are some general questions. Are you, like, do you self-harm? Are you okay? Whatever. I don't really remember the questions. Anyways, personal questions. And then she goes to tell me, okay, so the first availability we have is May. Like May 7th, 2023. And I paused on the phone. I was like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? She's like, May 7th, 2023. I was like, you know what? Go ahead, schedule me. All right. So when she hung up, when I realized that I wasn't gonna get help for like another 4 or 5 months, I was like, what's the point? Like, good thing I'm not completely depressed and ready to, myself. Mind you, I have been down the path of self-harming, but I don't think I would ever get to the point of like ending it. Like, I really do seek out help and want help when I am in desperate need of help. So I was like, imagine if it wasn't me. Imagine if it was someone else trying to get scheduled that had it worse off. Like, they needed more help than what I needed. And like, they're being told they have to wait 4 or 5 months. I was in complete shock. So I kept it. I kept the appointment, and I ended up having a follow-up with my primary care about my stomach issues and my overall health, because I ended up also getting a cold, which I have a cold now, but I went back to her and I was like, yeah, so I don't get to see them until May 2023. She was like, oh, no, 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 no. Here's a list of other providers you can go see. So I remember in that meeting too, after she gave me the new list, like, she was like, you have a PPO plan, you can see anybody you need, you don't really need a referral. She also then told me she was retiring and that I would have a new doctor next year, being this year. So that also aided in my anxiety, and I'm like, I just need somebody consistent. I need help. I need it now. I need people to be permanent in my life. Like, I'm so tired of things changing and switching up, and I have no control over anything. Like, I literally was going through mental breakdowns over little things. So her telling me that she was going to leave did not help. But anyways, I ended up contacting this provider, and I spoke with like the people at the front desk, and they were like, yeah, so this psychiatrist is available this week. We can get you on his schedule, and we'll go from there. And I was like, this is great. Thank you so much. Like, this is what I need. I need someone available as soon as possible, and I really just wanted to talk to somebody. So here we go. Here we get into the like juicy details. So my first visit with this psychiatrist, and I'm not going to say his name because I feel that that wouldn't do any justice. The first visit I had with him, it was a bunch of questions, like a ton of questions. And I thought that was normal. I was like, okay, they need to know what exactly they're dealing with and how my thought processes work and where I'm at, like, mentally. So we get into that. Mind you, they had me fill out this paperwork prior to the meeting, and then I actually met him. I have to put a disclaimer, I met him on telehealth. Like, we did telehealth Zoom calls, because traveling wasn't an option at the time. I just had so much going on. So we have this meeting, and I'm answering a ton of questions, and they're all pretty much just questionnaires to figure out if I have bipolar disorder, if I have ADHD, if I have depression, anxiety, um, multiple personality disorder, like all of these questionnaires. And so he's reconfirming about these questions. And for a first visit, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, he just wants to know where I'm at mentally. So pretty much after filling those out, he was like, you have bipolar disorder. Like, you are bipolar. Um, and I was like, I guess I could see that, because I have moments where I am feeling really proud of myself and I'm confident and I feel that I can conquer anything. And then I have these moments where I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? I feel very low, kind of depressed, very alone, like, and I've had these periods throughout my life. So I was like, okay, I can see how I'm bipolar, you know, going through the waves. And then he also said that I possibly have ADHD because based off the answers that I provided, you know, can't focus on things, and I only when I do focus, it's on things that I only enjoy. Um, whatever the basic ADHD problems or traits, I wouldn't say problems, right? Traits are, he was describing those, and I was like, okay, I guess I can relate to those. So first he wanted to prescribe me a medication for bipolar disorder. And I told him, I do not want to be put on medication. It makes me very anxious. I have a problem taking new pills. And I explained to him, as I've explained to you guys, I don't like doing new things. That is a part of my anxiety. And in my last video, I said I didn't know why, but I definitely do know why. It's not a childhood rooted problem. It's because I had my whole military experience. That was the biggest, most life-changing event that I ever did on my own, and it backfired. Like, I had to come back and figure out my life, and it was really traumatic. It was such a traumatic experience. But anyways, so I'm still dealing with that. Like, I don't like taking new medication. I don't like meeting new people by myself. I don't like doing new things by myself. I will push through and I will prevail and I will do them if it's absolutely necessary, in my growth, in my life, in my health, like in general. So I explained to him I prefer not to be put on medication right away. I was hoping that we could talk things through and maybe sort out some of those things first, like my mental blockage first, before medication. And he persisted. He said, no, you need this medication. I want you to be level-headed on this medication before we move forward with anything else. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll only prescribe bipolar medication, and then our next visit in a month, we'll talk about ADHD medication, or ADHD, sorry. So I was like, okay, can I ask you what the side effects are? I should have never asked that question. He said the number one, like, the scariest thing to look out for is a crazy skin rash. So something that can take over your face or your arm, and it's really red to purple to dark blue, and I have a phobia, y'all. It has nothing to do with other people, but for me, if I see any skin changes, like I start turning rashy, let's say from a new skincare product, I go full panic mode. I freak out so bad. That one I really don't understand why, because I'm a redhead, I'm fair-skinned, right? Like, things are gonna happen. I scratch my skin, I'm gonna turn red. But for some reason, if it's like an onset rash, like something that happens super quickly, I freak out. So him telling me that that's the number one thing that I need to look out for. Also, me being on my period, I'm emotional already. And I just opened up to this man about my problems, my life, everything, a complete stranger. Him telling me that, I start crying. I'm like, oh, are you freaking serious? Like, please, is there anything else we can do? And he said, no, based off of your height and your weight, like, this is the only pill that I can give you because everything else is gonna make you fat and you're already heavy. And he didn't say it like that, but it came out that way, like, you're already on the heavier side, so this is the only thing that's gonna do you good. And I was like, okay, I guess it's worth it. I guess it's worth it. So I ended up taking this medication for 7 days, and then after 7 days, he wanted me to up the medication to 2 pills a day. But by day 6 or day 7, guys, I felt like a freaking zombie. I was terrified that I could move throughout my day but not feel a thing. Like, I knew certain things that were happening were upsetting me, but I could not function, and I don't know how to describe it. I've never felt anything like it before, but like, I was in a situation where I went to meet a friend, and I haven't seen this friend in forever. It was our first time hanging out, and like, everything she was telling me was making me feel overwhelmed, but I could not express that. I couldn't say I was feeling overwhelmed. I don't know. It just felt like my emotions were trapped inside of me, and it was weird. It was like zombie. Like, I felt like a zombie. So anyways, I stopped taking the medication because I was like, there's a possibility of this crazy rash, and I didn't want to be on medication to start with, and now I don't feel like myself. So I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Fast forward, I realized that, like I told him from the jump, I wanted somebody to talk to. I didn't want to start on medication. So I, out of respect, I was like, I'm still gonna show up to our follow-up appointment and just like let him know what had happened and tell him that I don't want to do medication. But I still look forward to like having communication with him, or at least putting this on a pause, and I seek out therapy. So that's exactly what I did. I showed up to this meeting. Mind you, I had found a therapist, and I had a meeting scheduled with the therapist the same day. So I meet this man, of course, on Zoom, and I remember this so specifically. It was the day before Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, he was in a hotel lobby, dressed up in a suit, completely different than the first time I met him, where he was in his house, in like a side office, in a doctor's coat. Okay, so now he's in this full suit, red, black suit, in a hotel lobby. And I was like, okay, someone's on holiday. I get it. Work from home vibes, like, you can be anywhere and work from anywhere. So we talk, and he said, okay, so how's the medication going? And I was like, yeah, I had to stop that. It was not working for me. I explained my symptoms. I said I did not feel like myself. I couldn't express myself. I wasn't expressive. I felt like a zombie. And he was like, oh, did you call my office about it? I was like, no, I didn't call your office about it because I don't want any more medication. And he said, well, you should have called, because now this call is pointless. We have nothing to talk about. He's like, we could have like minimized your dosage. And I was like, didn't you already give me the lowest dose of this? Like, how are you going to minimize it more without it being effective? I don't know. Anyways, I told him, I'm like, I'm so sorry I didn't call the office. It wasn't something that I thought about, because I just wanted to tell you that, like, I don't want medication. I really thought that you, being a psychiatrist, you would talk to me and like walk me through things before I got put on medication. And I told him that, is that what I said something along the lines of like, I really just wanted to talk to someone. So I think therapy is a better option for me, but I would like to keep this open to come back to you in the future if the therapist deems that I do need medication, like medical help. And he was like, the therapist isn't gonna help you. I said, huh? He's like, the therapist isn't gonna help you. You need pills. You need the pills before you learn the skills. They're gonna try to teach you all these skills, but you're not gonna be able to perform them because you're not on the pills. I said, sir. I didn't actually say sir, but in my head, I'm like, huh? Are you serious? I was like, okay, well, I personally, me personally, I don't want to be on medication, and I didn't say like that to him, guys. This is just what I'm thinking and I'm feeling. I was so outraged that he was like, you need to have the pills before you learn the skills. I'm like, I know myself enough that I want to help myself, and if it is something important to me, like my own health, I will listen to the skills being taught to me, and I will perform the skills to help myself. Now, let's say these skills that I've learned do not help in the long run, then I am open to taking medication. But I would like to talk to someone about all my traumas and my past experiences that have affected me mentally, and how to get rid of that mental baggage and be a better version of myself, blah blah blah. So anyways, he was just like, you need to have the pills before you learn skills. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. And he was so disappointed that I didn't continue taking the medication, and I told him that I really just wanted to talk to someone about my problems. And he goes, well, obviously there's something you're not telling me. At that point, I was like, I just told you everything. Like, I told you personally, I do not do well with taking new medication. I didn't want to take medication from the first time, like from our first meeting, and having a negative reaction after taking it for a whole week. Like, I told you everything. And he goes, obviously there's something you're not telling me. I good luck finding help elsewhere. He's like, I don't think this is a good idea for us to see each other in the future. Like, pretty much having a God complex about it. Like, oh, you don't want me to help you? Good luck finding it somewhere else. Like, that was the vibe. And I was in so much shock. I didn't really have anything to say. I was kind of really pissed off at his reaction. So I knew that I wanted to cry about it, but I didn't want him to see me cry. So I was just like, okay, well, you take care. Thank you for your help. And he was like, yeah, take care, Nicole. And then he hung up. The call ended, and then I started crying because I was like, how dare you, as a doc, like as a medical professional, how dare you not listen to your patient? Like, I've told you who I am. I've told you the things that I've gone through. You know how my brain works, and yet you have the audacity to sit there and say, like, you need the pills. You need the pills before the skills, and good luck getting help somewhere else. Like, there was no empathy there. So after after having that experience, I actually had my first therapy session, like an hour or two after, and in between that happening and my therapy session, I had a really bad family news stowed upon me. So I had a lot to tell the therapist. I was just like distraught about the family news, distraught that this person that was supposed to be helping me had such a negative perspective, and he was just nasty towards me. And after talking to the therapist and talking to my dad about the psychiatrist, I realized that that man is probably not going to go that far in his career, and if he does, it's just because he's pushing pills to people that want pills. My dad said that, like, they get paid per prescription they prescribe, and I didn't know all this. Like, I really just wanted to talk to somebody, and I realized that therapy is 100% what I wanted and what I needed, and it did help over the course of, I want to say I saw her for 2 months. It was so much more enlightening, and I was able to take what she told me and apply it to real life, and I think that was the most helpful thing that I could have ever done. And again, like, moving forward, if I need medication, I will definitely be open to the idea of it, because if it's medically necessary, I will do it. I will do anything to help myself in that type of situation. But I really had to listen to myself and understand that this man is not going to understand where I'm coming from because of the type of professional he is. And like, that is what he does. He pushes pills, he gives people medication to help them feel better. And that's that. Whereas, like, I really just wanted to talk to someone. I knew myself enough to know that I just wanted to talk to someone. And I was beyond thankful for having the therapist. But moving forward, I'm going to be very selective on who I pick if I do end up getting a psychiatrist again. Like, it might be worth that 4 or 5 month wait, because this guy was readily available, and that kind of says something. That, between his attitude, holy cow, holy cow. So I know I'm not alone in this either. I've seen TikTok stories pop up on my feed about, like, psychiatrists and how they are, like, little meme type of TikToks, but I didn't get this type of content on my For You page until after I saw my psychiatrist. So and like, I wanted to leave him a really bad review and say all of this stuff under his name, but at the same time, I am non-confrontational. In the moment, I freeze up out of that fight, flight, or freeze. I'm a freezer. I'm just like I can't believe my eyes. So that was my experience with a psychiatrist. I'm not saying all psychiatrists are like that, but definitely be mindful of when they're being pushy, and stand your freaking ground. Stand your ground. If you know what you want and know what you need, holy cow, just be you and stick to your morals and stick to what feels right, because that was not right. None of that was right. It was unprofessional and rude and like, no. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that story. It was kind of a lot, but that was my experience. And if you've experienced anything like this with the psychiatrist, please leave your stories in my comments. Like, I want to know, because sometimes I feel like I'm going through these things alone, but I know I'm not. Like, I know I'm not that special to go through these things alone. So let me know what you guys have experienced. Let me know if you've ever tried therapy, because that's something that I really did enjoy, and I discontinued, but I may seek that out again in the future if I have, like, another low. But ultimately, I am feeling better, and I hope you guys are too. Like, I hope out of your experiences that something good came out of it. So anyways, I would stay on here all day if I could. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day, and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. We're trying to get to 300, guys. Bye.